Hi there, it's Dr. Gemma, and I have a friend. I have Norbert the Gnome here. Um, Norbert was just the finished project for today. And yeah, Norbert is reminding me that I wanted to declare today Mindfulness Monday and talk about mindfulness. Here that we're now that we're in these sort of early stages of doing these strategy videos. And Norbert reminded me of several mindful things today, like creativity falls under the category of mindfulness. And when I try to talk about mindfulness, it gets huge because people think mindfulness is a very simple thing, and in some ways it is. But when you begin to realize how much mindfulness can extend into different aspects of your life, it can actually become a very sophisticated topic. So here is Norbert, and Norbert says hi. Let's Norbert say hi. There you go. Okay, Norbert says hi. You don't see any fingers manipulating Norbert. No, Norbert's doing that all by himself there. Norbert, by the way, is gender indeterminate because that was part of my mindfulness today, was thinking about why is it I'm making toy gnomes and I'm assigning gender to them and sex. I mean, it's a pile of lentil stuffing and yarn, guys. And that really made me think about that whole thing. But anyway, off the mindfulness trail, we'll get back to that because mindfulness is a huge part of the strategies of psychotherapy. But I must eschew, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that, Mindfulness Monday, because what I want to talk about instead is the second most common thing that brings people to therapy. Now, you may remember in the first video, I said the first most common thing is this issue of you actually are okay. It is okay to be who you are. Some of your behaviors may need to change, but it's actually okay to be who you are. You just manage. Remember the glasses? You manage certain situations. All right. Having said that, I know you're all just saying, wow, what's the second one, Dr. Gemma? The second most common thing that brings people into therapy is what I call asking the dog to play the piano. Okay. And unfortunately, because I'm lousy at editing these things, you're not going to get to see the dog. I'm looking around to see it, and I have no representation of the dog in question. For this, I always use my dog, Baron. Baron is a 180-pound Newfoundland dog, coal black, except he's got a little wheat ear shaped bit of white on his chest, and he's got white paws with black spots. You want to talk about cute. This dog's got it nailed. Okay. So Baron is 180 pounds. That makes Baron 20 pounds bigger than me. And that's kind of important in this. Okay. And so this is what you need to know about the dog playing the piano. When I brought Baron home, he fell in love with me. I brought him home for my husband because my husband loves Newfies. So he's supposed to be my husband's pet. Little did I know that Baron had a thing for girls, that he was raised to a fairly high age as a puppy to sell by a female breeder whose husband ignored all the puppies. So Baron bonded with her. So on the hour-long ride home from the breeders, Baron transferred that to me. He started the ride whimpering in the front seat. He ended the ride plastered to me, staring up at me with big, and I mean big, brown eyes. And that never changed. So Baron has this habit of looking at me with an expression that only can be called soppy love. He does love my husband. He does obey my husband in all things. My husband says sit, Baron sits and looks at him calmly with that big brown-eyed look of, yes, I respect you. You are the head of our pack. If I say sit, Baron flings himself against my legs, rolls his head up like this against my legs so he can stare at me with adoring, deep brown eyes and lean into my leg and say, I love you so much that I am sitting for you. Thank goodness this is platonic. I'm not kidding. This guy's big. When he stands on his hind legs, his paws go easily on my shoulders and his head is about a foot above my head in the air. That's how big this guy is. Okay, so Baron loves me beyond all explaining. It was hard to even obedience train him because in class, he would just, when I'd give him a command, he'd fling himself against my legs, stare at me adoringly and say, I love you and I'm obeying you. You can imagine what it was like trying to teach this dog to heel, while we had to walk around a ring together. All right, so that's Baron. And the thing about it is, we also happen to have a piano, which I also like. I'm not the best pianist. I'm sort of self-taught. But when I come home at night, one of my favorite musical pieces is the Moonlight Sonata. So it makes sense, right? Baron loves me. He'd do anything for me, and there's the piano. So, I come home at night, I say, Baron, play me the Moonlight Sonata, please. And here's where I look at my patient or my client and I say, so is Baron going to play me the Moonlight Sonata? Now, you'd be surprised how many people try to say yes in some way. The answer is no, guys. And he's not going to play the Moonlight Sonata because he's a dog. Okay, the dog can't play the piano. But you say, the dog is in love with me. Surely, if there's any way he could play the piano, he would. Absolutely. So I got a bench made for him so he can sit at the piano properly. Because of course that, posture is everything when you play piano. And I got him a nice blue tux, shiny blue tux made for him so that he would feel, like he's all that when he plays me the piano. Is the dog going to play the piano yet? No, of course not. In fact, there is no way in which the dog is going to play Moonlight Sonata. Sure, there are people who train their dog to bang their paws on the piano, ha ha ha, But the reality is no. No dog is ever going to play a human composition on a piano in any way that a human can recognize. Now, dogs are simple souls, and my dog loves me outrageously, and no matter how much he loves me, he cannot change that. He will never play the piano for me. Humans are much more sophisticated. If I can't get the dog who loves me, Baron has actually saved my life on several occasions, has attacked people who came for me when I was running, out in the desert. Okay, that's how much he loves me. And yet I cannot make him play the piano. Of course I can't, because it simply is not within the range of possibilities for any dog, even a dog who loves me so devoutly. Okay, so if a dog isn't going to do this, certainly a human isn't going to. Certainly the much more sophisticated human, there will be things that every human cannot do, even no matter how much they love you, okay? So you must learn to stop asking the dog, as it were, to play the piano. And this is so common in therapy. The people come in and they're angry at their parents, their brothers, their sisters, their spouse, because they want them to play the piano. They want them to do what that other person can never do. And they somehow think I have the magic wand of therapy. Here it is, magic wand of therapy. Oh, darn, it's a crochet hook. You know what? There isn't a magic wand of therapy. Dang, that sucks. Okay, so the reality is there ain't no magic wand of therapy here. That I can't make the dog play the piano, and neither can they. What they can do is by changing their own behavior, they may make it possible for the other person to change their behavior in a more desirable direction. But they can't make the dog play the piano. And if you ask me, that is what destroys most marriages that are going to be destroyed, is one partner or both partners are expecting the other partner to be the dog playing the piano, okay? Now, that's not, I'm not talking about abuse. Although that is true. If your spouse is an abuser and you're thinking they're not going to be, whoa, that dog ain't ever going to play that piano. That dog doesn't even know the piano exists, all right? But the reality is, we have to stop asking the dog to play the piano. There are some things that other people, no matter how much they love us, are not going to do for us. And they can't. It's not within them. So, for example, I'll use me as an example. Now, I'm kind of hypersensitive. That's okay. It's okay to be me. It's okay to be who I am. All right. Remember that? Okay. So I'm hypersensitive. So, the beloved spouse and I get into an argument. Now, we've been together an awfully long time. Okay. And most of the arguments are just plain stupid at this point because we pretty much know each other inside out. All right, but we get in an argument, and let's say he's right. It happens. It's rare, but it happens. Okay, I'm kidding. But it happens, and he's right. And so somewhere in the midst of the argument, we're both very worked up. And we argue in a healthy way. And finally, I get it. And I go, oh, my God, he's right. And I say to him, okay, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. Okay, now that doesn't sound much like a lovely apology or acceptance, does it? Because I'm emotional, so I'm all revved up. And if he used to say to me, he'd go, well, why don't you act happy? Why don't you calm down? And the answer is, it's got nothing to do with what we're discussing. Pardon me, it's part of who I am. I'm emotionally hypersensitive, so I'm way wound up. I'm way emotionally escalated. So I can't do it. I want to do it. I do. I really do. I promise you. I want to say, wow, geez, I'm being kind of dumb here. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get us all worked up. I didn't know. I didn't get it. Well, I get it now. I'm so sorry. Let's be buddies. Let's, okay. I do what married couples do to apologize to each other, Okay, so I can't. I've been trying for over 30 years, 34 years now. I can't, okay? Fortunately, he's a wise man after 34 years of me. So he recognizes that he can't have that from me. This dog can't play that piano, okay? So he has learned to say, okay, let's just take a break, and we have a rule. You don't just abandon each other. Like, he doesn't just walk out the front door. He may say, I'm going to go take a walk. I'll be back in about 10, 15 minutes. Or I may say, I'm going to go sit in the car and listen to some music and knit and calm down because I just need space that doesn't feel, like I'm in the house. I get a little bit claustrophobic. But the rule is you must always say where you're going and when you'll be back. No abandonment. Okay. So I come back. Now, I'm calmed down now. And typically what I will do is I'll walk up and put my arms around him saying, I'm really, really sorry. I know I was wrong. I needed to calm down, but I'm sorry about that. And then he will say, I'm sorry too. I didn't want to fight like this, blah, blah, blah. Now, what has just happened was when he recognized that this dog couldn't play the piano, I could not calm down when I was that escalated. Instead of demanding something I could not do, he chose a behavior. I'm going to give you some space. And he didn't do it in a threatening way. I know, where he's going and when he's coming back. He gave me some space. Because he did that, I became able to calm down and to also apologize, to accept my part in the problem and take responsibility and apologize. And my being able to do that, my changing my behavior from escalated and upset to calm and appropriate, lets him change his behavior. He says, I'm sorry for my part too. He acknowledges, so I don't walk away feeling like I've lost face. And he acknowledges it takes two to have an argument. So he accepts his part in it. And now things can go forward. And that's kind of a model of what you get out of therapy. When you learn that the dog can't play the piano, you learn to change your behavior in a more productive, supportive way that allows the other person to do the best they can. And that allows them, in other words, to change their behaviors. And so they can change. And again, you can see it's like it starts this sort of upward spiral of improving behaviors. He gave me space. I changed my behavior. I apologized. He changed his behavior. He apologized and accepted that he had some responsibility. We're suddenly both happy. We're both changing our behaviors. Okay. All that happens and becomes possible when you stop asking the dog to play the piano. That sometimes you're going to have to accept that sometimes, no matter how much somebody else loves you, you might be asking a behavior of them which they simply cannot give you, no matter how much they love you. And in that case, you're going to have to learn to stop asking that dog to play that piano. And you're going to have to look for more appropriate behaviors you can use to help get the situation to change to a more positive outcome. So there you go. That's the dog can't play the piano. For those of you who are wondering, there is a third thing that brings people into therapy. It's a little more on the higher functioning level, and I like to call it the story of the dog named Lightning. And I will come back to it, and I will come back to mindfulness. But there you go. This is what I want you to know about the dog can't play the piano. So everybody stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.